So, I often get asked how I read so much, and I feel like I get asked it often enough that I wanted to do a video talking about it. Now, this is not going to be one of those videos recommending how you can read more necessarily, because there are actually tons of those that are available and that have far better tips than anything I'd be able to suggest. So this is really just me answering that question. So I probably read an average of, well, last year I'd say I read an average of around 14 books a month. That was the number that I was usually reading in a normal month. Some months I read a lot more because I was maybe not working as much. So for example, in December I had 3 weeks off, so I read a lot more in December. But in general, I think I was reading around 14 books a month last year. I'm slowing that down a little bit this year, but still, that's quite a lot of books for the average person. I would say probably the average person would maybe read between 1 and 10 books a year, maybe. I haven't done any research on this, that's really just a guess. But I don't think it's particularly typical for people to read as much as me or as much as most booktubers do. So that's the first thing to bear in mind, is that the people who make content on booktube really like books and really like reading, and so we prioritize reading, and therefore naturally we read more books because it's our thing, it's what we like, it's what we want to spend like the majority of our time doing. And because we do it so much, we also kind of get used to including it in our days, and also probably our reading speeds are a little bit faster. My reading speed is probably still pretty slow, but when compared to the average human, possibly a little bit faster, just because I do it so much. And just like anything else, if you do something a lot, you naturally get better at it. So that's one thing to bear in mind. So if you are the average person who's watching my videos or any other booktuber's videos and you're thinking, gosh, how do they read so much? It's not normal. We are not the benchmark of how much people read. We're a little bit weird in that sense, so bear that in mind. And I would say that my own numbers are probably somewhere in the middle for booktubers' reading numbers. Like, there are some booktubers who read like 30 books a month and some booktubers who read 4 or 5 books a month, which is still a lot when compared to the average person. So keep that in mind also. That all comes down to lifestyle, reading speed, lots of different things. So how do I personally read so much? Well, other than watching booktube, reading is basically the only form of media that I consume. Lee and I will watch an episode of anime while we eat dinner each night, but other than that, I don't watch any television. I don't really watch films. I've watched one film so far this year. It's now the 15th of February. I've watched one film. It was a few days ago when the last To All the Boys I Loved Before film came out, and other than that I haven't watched any films this year other than the anime Lee and I watched together at night. I don't watch any TV. I watch booktube, but other than that I just read. And alongside that, I also listen to audiobooks a lot. My preferred way of reading is to listen to an audiobook and follow along in the physical book. And if I can do that, that's what I do. And I have Audible, I have Scribd, and I have library cards for 2 libraries. Well, I personally have a library card for one library, and then one of my lovely friends in America lets me use her library also. So across all of those audiobook platforms, I use Libby for the library cards, by the way, I can access audiobooks for the vast majority of books that I read, and I do. If there is an audiobook for one of the books that I want to read and it's available through my library, I will usually put myself on the hold list for it. If it's on Scribd, I will go ahead and read it straight away, and if it doesn't exist in either of those places, I will just go ahead and buy it through Audible. Now, I do want to start using like Libro FM, I think is what it's called, which is a more kind of independent type service, but it's also based in America, so I'm not really sure how that would work for me over in the UK necessarily. I need to do more research on that. If you know anything about them, let me know in the comments. But yeah, basically if an audiobook for a book exists, then I will listen and follow along in the physical book if I can. It's my preferred reading method, and I can read a lot faster that way. So if I am just listening to the audiobook, like on its own, then I can listen at anywhere between 1.75 and 2 times speed. And if I am listening and following along, then I could listen anywhere between 2 and 2.5 speed, which is fast. I haven't always been able to listen to it that fast, but I've been listening to audiobooks for, I don't know, maybe 2 years now, pretty consistently. So I just listen to them at a faster speed, and if I slow them down at all, it sounds weird to me. So I do just listen to them pretty quickly. I've tried to dial back the speed a little bit this year because I want to be more present in my reading, but that's a whole other discussion. The point being, let's take the example of the book that I just finished yesterday, which is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. That book is a nearly 500-page book, and the audiobook is just over 12 hours. But I could listen to that book in between 6 to 8 hours, depending on what speed I listen to it at, which is significantly quicker than the original 12 hours. And then you take into account the fact that I'm not watching TV in the evenings, I'm not watching films in the evenings, I'm probably staying up far too late in the evenings, and because it's an audiobook, I'm also listening to it when I'm cleaning my teeth, when I'm washing my face, when I'm having my breakfast, when I am doing the cleaning, when I'm doing the cooking, when I'm using the toilet. I am reading the vast majority of the time. Not always. Some days I will be watching BookTube while I do all of those things. But if I'm really into a book, then I will listen to it whenever I possibly can. Whenever I'm doing something that doesn't require me to be thinking about something else, I will be reading. So I can't listen to audiobooks while I'm working because I'm a teacher. So when I'm working, I'm usually teaching or I'm engaging with others in some kind of a way, and so I can't listen to audiobooks then. But when I'm on my lunch break, I can listen to an audiobook while I make my lunch, while I eat my lunch, while I clean up, while I clean my teeth and put my aligners back in because I have Invisalign. These are all short periods throughout the day, but they add up. So if I listen to an audiobook for half an hour in the morning while I'm having my breakfast, or making my breakfast, having my breakfast, cleaning my teeth, etc. Same again at lunchtime, and then at dinner maybe it's an hour while I make dinner, and then when I clean up after dinner, etc. That's 2 hours already. So if my book, I can listen to it in 6 hours, I've already read a third of a book in just like throwaway time that I would have been doing nothing else. So that's how I think I personally read as much as I do because I love it. I love reading. I love reading so much, and I always just want to be reading if I can, or watching BookTube, hearing others talk about books that I've liked or that I want to read and finding out about more books. I'm very hugely immersed in the bookish world, and that, I fully admit, is not entirely normal. I do not necessarily recommend that you aspire to be me, because I have an obsessive personality and my obsession is reading, and so I will just find time to read books, hear other people talk about books, spend time myself talking about books. So if I'm not at work and I'm not talking to Lee or watching something with Lee for the 30 minutes that we watch something together a day when he's not working, or something like that, if I'm not interacting with another person in real time, chances are I'm reading or absorbing bookish content in some way. So I don't know if this is really interesting or not, but I get this question so much that I thought I might as well answer it in one place. So that is how I read so much. I read so much because I have an obsessive personality, and reading is basically the only thing I do for fun. And I'm not bad about it. Don't feel bad for me. I love it. I do it because I love it. If I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't do it. But I do, and I feel incredibly happy that I am able to read as much as I do. And I think a big part of the reason why I didn't used to read as much as I currently do is because I didn't know what to read, and then I discovered BookTube, and now I have an endless TBR. We'll never have that problem again, and that makes me happy also. So that is just a little bit about how I read so much, and I hope that it was maybe slightly interesting or illuminating in some way. I don't know. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.